All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Buona cena, buona cena. If you've ever seen Robin Hood Men in Tights, if you haven't, you won't get the joke. Mel Brooks. All right. So, welcome to the Blacksmith Podcast. This is the Saturday edition where we talk about financial topics. But over here, we forge guys into men, right? We ask guys who they see themselves to be 15 years down the road. We ask them, what does that guy have? What that you want? Build that motivation to become him. Then we create actionable steps to get there. So if he has a degree, you don't have a degree, we reverse engineer a degree in what? Engineering, a 4-year degree, an undergraduate, right? So we reverse engineer it to you today. So you need to enroll in a college, into an engineering program, and in 15 years you'll get there. Make actionable steps. Then we start the action, then we persist. And that's how we get to who we're going to be in 15 years. But today, it's a special day every Saturday because we go over financial topics. So let me bring my workstation up here. Oh, my water bottle's in the way. Shaker cup. All right. So today we are going to again cover some tariff information. I think, let me see what screen I'm sharing. Okay, yeah. We're going to jump into, I said financial topic, right? Well, I think people need to understand the misunderstood information about how the economy works. And one of the things that needs to be understood is that the economy, the American economy, is vastly driven off of how or what political news comes out, right? Politics affects every avenue of economics in this country, right? So when you talk about tariff news, businesses go crazy, right? When you think about what happened when the tariffs were announced, what did the stock market do? It went down in the earlier round. Sugar, it went down swinging. All right. So one thing you have to understand is that politics affects economics, right? I didn't mean for it to rhyme, but I got bars. No, I do not. I'm a muscle bound idiot. Anyway, so all right, let's jump right into it. So you see my screen right here. Whoa. There we go. Sorry, I had to make the screen go half seas so I can see both. I can see what y'all are seeing. All right. So tariff pause. So we put a pause on the tariffs. If you didn't know, we're going to go over this. We're going to go over the news first. This is not necessarily a political channel, it's a manhood channel. But in manhood, we have to understand that part of manhood is knowing what's going on in the world around you, the society around you. So we're going to start with the news, and then we're going to let the beat build and get into how it affects the stock market and trades. We're going to talk about the direction of companies because of it, why you should be worried, and all that kind of stuff. So just bear with me. If you have questions, chat, you already know. I already always check the chat, chime in, ask questions. Here we go. So President Trump paused the tariffs. And yeah, this set a lot of people. The tariff set a lot of people off in the first place. Um, Hold on, because I think it's very important to start with definitions. Whoa. If you don't know what a tariff is, I usually pull this up first. All right, so a tariff is a tax or duty to be paid on a particular class of imports or exports. So that's goods, right? That's cars, that's steel, that's rice, that's anything you can think of that we may be shipping out, export, or bringing in, import, right? So that's a tax, right? And we charge companies tax on what they on what we ship them, and they charge us tax on what vice versa. So anyway, so he announced the reciprocal taxes on the 2nd of April, called it Liberation Day. And then he wants to do the 90-day pause on some of the tariffs on April 9th. So that already went into effect. And you see right here, it set off a relief rally in the stock market. My portfolio jumped up, I want to say about 12 grand. Um, but it's still not what it was before the tariffs were announced. And I'm going to tell you why later you should not panic. Do not, if you are invested in the stock market, I'm writing it down right now because I don't want to forget. Do not panic sell your stocks. Um, do not panic sell. All right, slow. Sorry, folks. All right. And I actually had a mentee. He hit me up the other day and he asked me. He was like, "Yo, I'm going crazy right now. These tariffs made my portfolio drop down a couple thousand, and I know I shouldn't panic sell, but I'm panicking. I know I should hold it, but I'm panicking. I know we're gonna let the beat build on that a little bit. If you're invested, stay invested. Don't hit the sell button." Because he said, "I know that I'm down a couple thousand." He said all the right stuff. So he said, "You taught me well, but I'm panicking." He said, "I know I really didn't lose the money until I sell it, but I'm panicking and I want to panic sell." So I think he was just getting me to reinforce what he already knew was a good idea. And he didn't panic sell it because I talked to him, but we'll get there. Let the beat build. All right. So let's deal with the whole stock market piece, right? Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal shows that the stock market has risen. What is this one? This one is the NASDAQ composite went up 10% according to them. S&P 500 is about 7%. And the Dow Jones Industrials is about 6% at its peak, right? So between them, him announcing the tariffs and then pausing the tariffs, we've seen a roller coaster ride in what has happened in the stock market. And again, this is all a part of economics, right? Because whether you side with the red, whether you side with the blue, whether you're not a fan of the current president, or whether you're not red, blue, but you are a fan of the president, anybody can benefit from this information. If you're wondering what I am over here, I'm purple. Royalty, baby. Emperors. No, I'm just playing. I just put the two colors together because there's truth on both sides. There's bad on both sides. There's bad players wearing colors. Bloods and Crips. No, I'm just kidding. But there's good and bad on both sides. And for my family, I don't know about you, but for me and my house, we're gonna serve the Lord. That was a quote from the. Okay, so for me and my house, we're gonna be purple over here because we understand that there's good and bad on both sides. There's pros and cons. There's truth on both sides, and we need to vote the way that's gonna work best for our family, which is what everyone should be doing for them and their family. And just because you vote one way or another doesn't mean you agree with everything they agree with. But this is the two-party system we have, right? So understand all of this stuff affects every single company. In fact, I'm jumping around here, but I know John Deere. I looked this up. They were talking about closing down a lot of their stores and going under. And then I think I had it up, but J.C. Penney did as well. J.C. Penney's closing like over 600 stores. Some people, but here's the thing. If that tariff news made you plummet like that, you were already on the outs anyway. It was just going to be a slower decline. But if it made you plummet and be on the outs like that, you're already on your way out. Nike is barely surviving right now. And actually, that'd be a good thing to actually pull up and show y'all. I'm jumping around here, so bear with me. We're gonna get to it. There's a lot to get to, and I'm kind of excited about it. So, excuse me. Okay, look at what Nike's down to. All right, so when people want to invest in the stock market, this is what they do, right? They'll say, "Oh, Nike, I know that company. That's a good company." Is it? Yeah, Nike, everybody wears Nike. Do they? Are these facts or is this just what you think or what you see, right? Is this anecdotal, right? Because if Nike's such a good company, before I brought this up, tell me who the CEO is. The chief executive officer, if you're not familiar, the top dog. All right. Tell me who the CFO is, the chief financial officer. Who's the vice president or president of mergers and acquisitions? What's the last company they acquired? Instead of making their employees do something different, a lot of companies will go and acquire something that they want to add to their company, and they just call it a different division or different department. But if you don't know these kind of things, then how can you say that? What direction is the company going? What's the newest innovation plan, right? What have they done? And if you don't know these things and you're investing in them, then guess what? You're investing in something, taking a huge risk because you don't know. Now let's look at Nike's numbers. So right now they're trading at 54.35, and I know it's Saturday, but let's just see. Year to date, they are down 28%. Let's not look at the dollar amount necessarily, but the percents matter more. So in 1 year, year over year, they are down 41% almost. Now, that wouldn't be such a bad thing, right? Usually that's a the reasoning matters, right? But what do you know about the shoe game? Well, about Nike. Nike's huge on shoes. They're huge on like athletics. They sell socks, accessories, shirts, all that kind of stuff. But did they acquire any other companies or whatever? And why would their stock be going down? Well, you would have to then look at the news for consumer goods overall. And if you notice, there's a lot of what was the news before the tariffs? There was a lot of government layoffs, right? Companies were laying people off left and right. People getting notices or getting told, look at social media, and you see a bunch of people crying, snotting, foaming at the mouth, screaming that they got laid off, right? So do people have money to buy Nike? Nike's a household name, right? But it's also expensive, right? So that could be the reason. Nike's not a tech stock. What stocks have really been what sector has really been moving the market for the last 5 years? It's tech. Nike's not a tech stock. It's in consumer goods, right? So if you think about that, that might be why it was on the decline. Now, if you looked year over year at a tech stock, it might be up that much or more. Look at the last 5 years, down 33%. So this company has been on a steady decline for the last 5 years. It wasn't just the last year. And it's not like this was COVID or something, but I bet during COVID, it probably did pretty well. Well, if we go back here, May, but this is 2020. Actually, yeah, see what I'm saying? Look, COVID was announced in January, right? I think I can say the C word now. All right, so look at what it did. All right, it went down in June when they shut everything down, right? But July 16th, at least over here in California, they shut it down March 16th, open it back up June 16th, close it back down July 16th, open it back up September 16th. Why the 16th? I have no idea, but I remember this like it was yesterday. So look at what it's doing. It is building, 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 and by December 31st, Nike had gone up 72%. Look at that, 141. Then it had a steep decline in 2021, and all this was a crypto boom all in here too. Remember that. And at the pinnacle of this in 2021, crypto was booming. Crypto's biggest day and then started dropping was around May 5th, May 6th of 2021. And then there was a steep decline in crypto as well. Did that market affect them? I don't know. But look, down in June, they were down 131, still doing great. Because remember, way back here, you got to remember where we started, right? Now look, 2021 in August, 172. The company's up. Going up on a Tuesday. October 1st went down, fine. November, remember the holidays are coming, right? So people start buying gifts and stuff. But here we go. Now, what do we know was going on in 2022? The stock market took a heavy, heavy hit in 2022. 2022, that stock market plummeted. And remember, the first 2 years historically for a president in office are terrible. The first year is bad, but the second year is worse, right? And I believe 2022 was the second year, right? So 2022 was really bad. I was on deployment. One of my boys in here in the chat, he was on deployment with me. And yeah, we would hit port and check our portfolios going down in an earlier round. Sugar, we're going down swinging. So Nike hit that and they never recovered from that. If you look at this bar. So in January of 23, okay, things started going back up, looking good, looking good, looking good. Then we hit May and it's down from there. Down, it spikes back up in December, but what do you know about December? Christmas, right? The holidays, that's when people are buying gifts. So every December, you're pretty much going to see something like Nike in consumer goods spike, right? Because a lot of people can get gift cards, they can get Nike socks, Nike shoes, Jordans are Nike brand. I think Under Armour is, they bought Under Armour a while ago, but you just get what I'm saying. You got Nike shirts, Nike pants, Nike shorts, all kinds of Nike gear, right? Probably basketball, soccer balls, everything. They get them. And so in December, you'll see this spike. But it's been getting Mike Tyson punched out since then. And that brings us to the end of our story with Nike. So Nike, it was announced that they're pretty much going under. And look, they got 79,000 employees. Let's pay attention to this. Let's put Nike on the watch list so we can talk about it. Oh, it's already on the list. Okay, let's put it on. It's on the list. So we'll talk about it. We'll follow this one when we come on Discord. Stop scam calling me. Somebody scam calling my phone. Anyway. So get what I'm saying, right? Nike's talking about they're going under, but what do you know about Nike, right? If you didn't know, okay, let's see if it'll say it in here. Oh, right here. So it operates through the following segments: North America, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Greater China. That's mainland China, right? That's not Hong Kong, the island. It's not, and Taiwan no longer is, since I think the 40s, I looked it up last week, they're not a part of China. They're talking about mainland China, Asian Pacific, Latin America. So when you start talking about tariffs, if all it said was North America, they probably wouldn't be hit too hard. But look at all these other countries, and we went over these countries last week, and I think I may still have it pulled up, where they were going to be charging higher tariffs to. And if you think about it, commerce, this is where you start putting two and two together. If you heard about the tariffs and you heard about people going insane, you heard about CEOs getting upset, this is why. Because during the Industrial Revolution in America, we were at our strongest economy. You could work, the average man could work one factory job, 40 hours a week, and pay for a single family home, 3 bedrooms, 1.5 bathrooms, 12 to 1,400 square feet, a car, have a wife, and 2, maybe 3 kids. Maybe with the 3rd kid, you need to pick up some extra hours and do about, 60, 50 hours a week, right? But then when you retire, you can get a pension. They pay you the rest of your life it's like you have your 401k, and then they're putting money aside for you for every year you work for their company. So they pay you a pension for the rest of your life. And when you get old enough, you can cash out your 401k, and then you could collect Social Security. So these guys had the trifecta. They had pension, they had Social Security, and they had, pension, 401k, Social Security, right? So they had the trifecta, and they would work that job until retirement age. So then as soon as they retire, they get the pension. they also can cash out their 401k, and they also could get Social Security. So those guys may be making more money in retirement than they did when they were working. That is not the case today, folks. We can't work one job for 20 to 50 years and when we retire, collect a pension, because most jobs don't pay pensions anymore. If you're a public servant, like a police officer, firefighter, teacher, stuff like that, if you work for the state, I think they pay you pensions. But most employment, look at Amazon. Do they pay pensions? Look at Walmart, Target. Do they pay pensions? You're not getting a pension. When you stop working for me, I stop paying you. So when you want to retire, i.e. no longer work, that's the end of your money. That's the end of your money, right? So just understand how the world works nowadays. Our economy is not the same as it was during the Industrial Revolution, because what we started doing as a company is as a country, is we started taxing the businesses very heavily because they were earning millions, right? In some case, billions. So if we tax the companies more heavily, like 30% tax rate, that brings more revenue in for the state, right? Well, the companies then said, screw this, let's set our gaze outside of America, because there are no labor laws in China. So if I'm paying this guy $20 an hour, my lowest level unskilled laborer, if I've got to pay him $20 an hour, remember, the employee is the most expensive part of the business, right? Chat, let me see what y'all are up to. Nothing? Okay, cool. All right. The employee is the most expensive part of the business, because if you're paying somebody $20 an hour, that's like $40,000 a year, right? But then you have to pay for their benefits package. And how do we do that? The company goes to a pharmaceutical company or whatever, a health company, and they say, hey, I've got 1,000 employees. And they say, okay, this is going to cost you $1 million for your 1,000 employees. You break that into tiers and you break it up over 1,000 people, and you offer it to them. When they get it, that's how they get your premiums per month, what you're going to pay based off of what they paid, right? So now you got their salaries. You got, oh, I'm sorry, I missed one. You got a 15.3% income tax on every salary. So now that's even more expensive. So now you're not just paying out 40 grand. What's the math on that? Should I do it? Should I do it? But you've got a income tax. You got to pay that on every employee's salary. And then let's go 40K times 0.153. So you're not just paying 40,000. You are paying $46,120. Now you have to pay for the benefits, so that's even more money. Now you also have to pay for workers' comp if they get injured. So even though they're not working, trading time for money in your business, you are now paying for them because they got injured on the job. And unemployment, because if you fire them and it wasn't for cause, you just needed to cut money, then guess what? You now have to pay them workers' comp, unemployment for like 6 months. The company pays for that. Where do you think it comes from? The state, the federal government? No, the company pays for that. So economics, folks, we have to start learning about the world around us. That is definitely manhood. Get involved. This is why I say when you vote, stop worrying about the national election up here, blue or red. You need to be more concerned with your district. Who is going to be your, they go to the House of Representatives, your delegates in the House of Representatives, and your senators. Your senators, they make local legislation, and your governors and your mayors and your judges. We need to start getting involved. If you want your company or your country to be a certain way, start at the local level and go from the ground up. But men, we got to take this more seriously and figure out who our politicians are, and the legislation they're passing on a local level feeds upward. It's not top down, it's down up, because I mean, it sounds great. Oh, well, it comes down in the rules they make, but each state has the ability to make their own laws within a certain umbrella. Now, if it's a federal thing, then that's when it's top down, right? But if it's a local thing, it feeds up. So y'all got to get more knowledgeable about the world around you. I think enough said. I kind of went on a tirade. But I told y'all I was going to be forging today. The forge is red hot, baby. I need a hammer. All right, so if somebody's got an idea for a hammer, I just need to get me a blacksmith hammer. It'll go good with the logo. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we talked about Nike. I think we were on the Wall Street Journal and what it did for the stock market. I think all in all, it was saying that the stock market jumped 12%. I've seen numbers like 15%. So just know the stock market had a steep increase, right? But if we go through this article, the Wall Street Journal, chat, what we doing? Nothing? Okay, cool. Chat, if you have something, y'all know what's up. I'll read it. All right, so they're talking about the volatility in the market. Oh, the biggest thing that's going to control the stock market right now is going to be what the president says about these tariffs, okay? So the tariffs affect everything, folks. Economics. Let me bring it down a little bit. But you got to understand, Chinese steel is the probably most exported steel in the world. So if there is a huge tariff on Chinese steel, look at what that affects, right? We put these houses together with steel beams and frames, right? So housing costs will go up, right? Because the builders' costs will go up. Developers developing all kinds of stuff in neighborhoods, they use that same Chinese steel. So whatever building, the firehouse building, light poles, whatever the taxes are gonna go up. And this is what I was talking about last week, but I didn't mean it in a bad way, but the end consumer is gonna pay the tariffs. Albeit I do agree with charging people more for our exports, because you have countries that were charging us 40% and we're charging them 10. And they were doing that just because we are richer than them, but that's not an even exchange. I understand if it's just money, 10 to 40%, but what are we getting from them that can even the playing field that maybe isn't money? There needs to be a fairness, because if we were going to be business partners and I say, we're going to do an equal amount of work, but I tell you what, I'm going to get 90% of the revenue and you're going to get 10. You never shake on that. Albeit 10% of something is better than 0% of nothing or 100% of nothing, but it's not an even exchange, right? So when you look at it that way, yeah, when they unveil this news about what countries had been taxing us at what rate and what we were taxing them, it was not even at all, right? And you can understand that whether you're blue, red, orange, or green. It doesn't matter. Money's green. And that's what we should care about, right? If we want to put Americans back where they're supposed to be. But just look at it. Boeing, right? Boeing uses Chinese steel for their jets, right? So, and I'm just using the steel. Let's just use the steel, right? Boeing does. So to build planes, repair planes, that's going to be more expensive. So guess what's going to go up? Your plane tickets, right? That's how they're going to recover their revenue. So these tariffs are affecting the entire world around us. You have t-shirt makers, right? I'm not saying me. This was made in America. It was in Delaware. My sister-in-law got my t-shirts made, but get what I'm saying. T-shirts. There's a lot of people who make clothing and their manufacturer is overseas in China. Guess what? That is an export that they're bringing over here. Well, an import for us, an export for them. Tax. So you have, and most of those companies are small LLCs, limited liability companies, right? They're not an S corp or a C corp or a big corporation. They're not. So it does affect everything. So when people are crying, snot, and foaming at the mouth, there's a reason. But anyway, let's get into this, right? So we already heard about what it's doing. Hopefully, y'all had a chance to read this. We already heard what it's doing we talked about the economy. We talked about the stock market. So I want to skip that stuff. Um, there was something in here I wanted to talk about. Okay, so Friday, China boosted its tariffs on us to 125%. Now, our biggest, the country that we shake hands with the most on imports and exports is them. That's why this is so major, right? And the US owes China a lot of money, right? We are indebted to them a lot. And so when you look at it that way, it kind of muddies the waters when you're trying to, I don't know, just doing business with them anyway. Like we owe them a lot of money, but realistically, if their tariffs are higher than ours, how are we ever going to make up revenue to get to pay them back? Um, Anyway, so they raised their stuff up on us. We levy 25% on steel, aluminum, and cars and inflict maximum pain. That's what Canada's. So Canada, we raised ours on them. France, this stuff is just going insane. And I'm not subscribing to the Wall Street Journal, so that's all we're gonna see on there. But the world is in a tizzy. Now, we're a couple minutes into this, so let me see. So he exempted, I'm going to go through these really quickly because I'm going to get to what we should be doing on the ground level. Um, so he exempted phones, computers, chips from new tariffs. Now, what is that stuff? That's consumer goods, right? But it's also tech. Tech. Phone is tech, computers tech, chips tech, which means Nvidia won't be affected by the extra tariffs. It means Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, right? So they got hit with, they'll still be hit by some of the tariffs, but he exempts them from the new tariffs. So they won't pay the crazy tariffs that everybody's paying. TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. We talked about that company. They make the semiconductors for the chips, and they're the primary maker of semiconductors. And guess where they're at? In Taiwan, hence the name. And so, with their geopolitical situation, China's trying to reacquire Taiwan and make them be a part of China again. And so that company is only there. So they have started breaking ground. If you weren't with us last week, I looked this up. They started breaking ground on a TSM for America and put it in Arizona. TSMC, I think is what it is. Yeah. So see right here, Taiwan Semiconductor, they are building it in Arizona. I think they started the project in 2020. I don't want to get too deep into this, but let's look at this real quick. I think they started building this in 2020. You can see right here, it's going to be huge. Yep, there we go. May of 2020, they plan to invest 12 billion in the Phoenix, Arizona. But what is this going to bring? This is going to bring manufacturing to America, which matters, right? It's going to bring Americans jobs, and it's going to put more money in Arizona's economy, right? So that is going to be good for Arizona. It's going to be good for America because they're a semiconductor creator for all of the chips, right? And so instead of now going all the way to Taiwan and paying and worrying about tariffs, we'll home grow chips, semiconductors right here and put them on the chips. So this is going to be a win for America, big time. And I know the president did say that that's one aspect. One aspect is to raise money for America, bring revenue back to America. Another aspect is to bring manufacturing to America. And he talked about the Industrial Revolution. Whether or not you believe him, let's just talk about the facts, right? The Industrial Revolution, he talked about bringing manufacturing back, which will bring Americans jobs back, which will bring Americans more money. And it brings more money back into the economy. And when you put it that way, I'm a fan of it. So anyway, I think we talked about this one enough. I forgot where I was going with this. Let me look at my tabs. We talked about what a tariff is. We can get rid of this one. What was this one? Oh, automakers. Automakers. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're trying to buy a new car, I got some of wisdom for you. But if you're trying to buy a new car, especially now, something's wrong with you. Listen, let it be new to you. A used car ain't nothing wrong with it. 3 to 5 years used. Most of the quick depreciation is going to fall off of it in the first 3 years. So if you buy a used car 3 to 5 years old, most of the depreciation's already fell off of it, and it's going to be on a slow decline like every other car. Cars depreciate a certain dollar amount every day, whether it's $3 a day, whether it's um, $5 a day. You have to work at a dealership and have the black book. Forget Kelly's blue book. You got to have the black book, and it tells you per day uh, in what year. It has the calendar and it has the dollar amount. Hopefully, I get some salesmen up in this chat, a part of the Blacksmith podcast on these Saturdays, and we can have them do a whole. If y'all know somebody, let me know. We can have them do a whole show on auto buying and whatnot. And then, of course, we can link to them and hopefully they'll give us some good rates when we need to get some. But we're shaking hands with people that are moving in the community, right? And that's what we want to do. Anyway, so automakers, right? They are really feeling this because where does their steel come from? China. Where does a lot of their parts come from? They're not manufactured in America. They're imported, right? So they're really feeling this. And this is talking about General Motors, right? Maker of Jeeps and Rams and all of that. Yeah. See, in cost increase of 42 billion. They won't be able to survive that. What company can survive a $42 billion cost a year? That's not going to happen because they're not earning that much. So they're based in Detroit, Michigan, if you didn't know. Um, and a lot of so Michigan, the Wolverines, the University of Michigan, they produce a lot of engineers, right? I have an aunt that went to Michigan and she became an electrical engineer. And a lot of times they get their engineers straight. There's a pipeline from Michigan straight to GM, right? Because they're based right there. And a lot of times they'll do internships or get their first employment at GM. And there's nothing wrong with that either because you can get paid, but I'm not an engineer. I'm an air traffic controller. Anyway, so just understand $8,600 average for each car they import, meaning a lot of their cars are not manufactured here. That's why you have to import them. So Tesla, 100% of their cars are manufactured in America, although not all of their parts are manufactured in America. So they do have parts that are imported. Chat, I see there's something in there. I'm about to get to it as soon as I make this point. So some of their parts are imported from China, but 100% of their cars are made here and then sold here, right? Or they may export some of them, but China has their own electric car maker, and I can't remember what it's called. BYD, I think. Let me look this up real quick, and I'm gonna go right back. I got you, chat. Hold on one second. I think it's BYD. Yes. Isn't this China? It's BYD. We're gonna go back to it in a second. I just pulled it up. Where was I at? John Deere. Let's close this. I was here. Okay, so Ford is the next manufacturer. Hold on one second. Hi, baby. Daddy's doing a live video. I love you. Can I drop kick you? Oh, okay. With love, of course. With love. He's only 4. Wait till he turns 5. All right, so okay, so what was I gonna say? Oh, Ford is the next manufacturer with the most cars that are actually manufactured here with 70%. In fact, let me see if they do 30% imports. Let me see if I can do auto manufacturers. Um, Auto manufacturers, automakers, percent of cars manufactured, I can't spell, in China. Let's see if I can pull this up. No, I'm looking for a chart. Let's do in America. Chat, I'm about to come to you. Yeah, I know that stuff. No, Wikipedia, we ain't doing that. We're not doing that. All right, I'm going to try and see if I can find that chart for you. I've seen it before, but I meant to have it for this. Why invest tax exempts? Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's what I'm showing here. You want me to go back to that? But yeah. So okay, with GM and auto manufacturers, they're really going to be feeling this. So if you're looking for a new car, I'm telling you that you're gonna pay through the nose for it. And that brings me to my point on stock, right? People keep asking, should I? I'm panicked. Should I sell? Well, let's just look at it logically. You tell me what you should do. Would you, if you're at a $4,000 loss and you haven't actually lost the money until you hit sell, do you think you should sell it? But what if this isn't the bottom and it goes down to 5,000? Do you think you should sell it? Do you think this is in 10 years, we're still going to be feeling the effects like this? Do you think in 10 years it might go back up? Yeah. How old are you? 22. So you'll be 32. Do you think it will have recovered in 10 years? Yeah, of course. Why would you panic sell it now then? Stop being emotional. Stop being irrational. Thank you for talking to somebody who knows. But if you think it's going to recover, then the answer is obvious, right? And then also, so that's for the panic sell. Do you think I should hold it? Yes, I absolutely think you should hold it. I am holding mine. I wouldn't ask you to do something I'm not doing. So I am not right now. I told a buddy of mine, I am not right now. I'm not doing calls. I'm not doing puts. I'm not doing any of that because right now, as a some people call themselves a trader. I'm not really a trader, right? I'm not day trading. That's what that means. I'm not buying in the morning in the pre-market or when it first comes out and then it goes up in the first hour and you sell it and you make all that profit and then you buy it again. You watch it every day as it dips and and as it rises and falls and you sell and buy based off of that, that's day trading. I'm not a trader. I'm a buy and hold kind of guy. I'm an equity guy. So I bought years ago at a good price and I'm going to ride that equity all the way up, right? For years and years and years. I do long calls or leaps as they're called. I usually go 2 years out on great companies that have a great trajectory, right? That are innovating. So I'm not a day trader and I'm definitely not doing puts because here's the thing. If you didn't know, and he's in the chat right now, he taught a whole class on options, stock options. So if you don't know it, he's gonna teach it again. We'll get another date established, and maybe we'll add some to what he taught last time. But he taught a perfect class to understand options tradings, right? But a call is a bet that a particular stock is going to go up over time. A put is a bet on a stock that it is a particular stock is going to go down over time. And that's the basis of what I'm going to talk about for what I'm going to say. When he announced the tariffs, if you had puts in already, you were great. If you waited until they fell 30% and then tried to do a put thinking it's going to go further, and then he announced a pause on the tariffs and they went back up, you just lost all that money because they just went back up, right? You can't think they're going to go down and stay down. So I basically, if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're basically trying to have control of the of investing and on the market right now. And when everything's going good, you can have control because you can just look at a company that's a great company, great CEO. They got a great chief financial officer. They're bringing in this amount of revenue. You can just look at their earnings calls and say, and listen to the trajectory of the company and say, I'm going to invest in this one. You can't do that right now. So for holding, yes, hold it. Now, my advice is unlicensed. I've been doing this for a while, but I am not a licensed professional. So you do what you want. Now, that's selling, that's holding. What about buying? Well, I gave this analogy to my barber yesterday. Well, he's a new guy because my barber was out, but same barber shop. He was asking me about it, right? And I wear these shirts everywhere I go because I'm the one that believes in my dream, right? And so when they see these shirts, I was in uniform though, but I talked to them about it. When they see these shirts, they usually ask me, "What do you do? What's the purpose of your podcast?" And it always goes the financial route, and they always are super interested in it, right? And so I asked him, "Okay, you think you shouldn't buy right now because what if this isn't the floor? What if it goes lower?" Well, okay, let's look at Nike. Let's go back to Nike so I can give you a visual of what I'm about to say, right? So imagine you're shopping for cars and you're looking at a Volkswagen Jetta and they say, hey, the MSRP on this new 2025 Volkswagen Jetta GLI is $30,000, but we're gonna sell it to you. So market value, $30,000, but we're gonna sell it to you for $33,000. Raise your hand if you would buy that car. They're charging you 10% more than the car is actually worth. Market value is what it's worth, right? They're charging you 10% more. Would you buy it? No, you wouldn't buy it, right? So now let's say it's $30,000 and that's what we're going to charge you. It's market value. That's fair, right? Most of y'all would buy it. Now let's say you went and they said, well, MSRP is $30,000, but we're going to sell it to you for $27,000. First of all, look at that car. Look at if it's new, look for dents, look at bumps. Make sure you got your 3 years, $36,000 manufacturer warranty. Make sure you get an extended warranty. There's a reason why that car is on sale. How many days has it sat on the lot? But we'll go into car buying a different day because I do know how to purchase cars. But my point is, all things being equal, let's say it's a perfect car just like the other two scenarios. They're just gonna give you $3,000 off of it. Maybe you went at the end of the month when somebody hadn't met their sales yet, right? Maybe you went at the end of the year where the dealership hasn't met its quota for the year yet. Or maybe they're trying to move a bunch of the cars they have to get some new ones in. They can't get any new cars in until they sell the older ones, right? So maybe those three things. We're going to do car buying later. Anyway, I'm going too much into the weeds. Yes, you would buy it because it's 10% less than what it was advertised. So it's on sale. Now, let's go through a department store. You see some chips. Then normally, what if you see a bag of chips, a bag of Lay's is $2, right? A regular bag of Lay's, I don't care what your jam is. If it's cheddar, if it's sour cream and onion, if it's salt and vinegar, right? And you like to burn your mouth off. Anyway, $2. That's the market value. You buy it. But what if it's 150, 180? It has the red sales tag. Oh, you may get two. But what if it had a blue markup tag and it was $3? Normally sells for $2 and now it's $3. Would you buy it? It's 50 cents. It's not 50% on sale. It's 50% marked up. Would you buy it? No, you would never go shopping for consumer goods like people like to shop for stocks. That's what I don't understand. We have to get it into our head. You cannot, the same way you shop for consumer goods is the same way you should be investing in stocks, right? Now that you got my drift and you see where I'm coming from, now let me show you. Chat said something. Hold on. Let me stop this real quick. You already went over a lot of companies at a great price and oversold, like Intel, AMD, possibly a good buy, Nike around 45. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying now. Yeah. See, the chat is undefeated. My bad. Yep. My fault. Yes. A lot of companies are at a great price right now. But this is what I'm going to say, because most people don't understand how to buy stock. Most people, this is what you do, right? The stock was down to $81 over here. And let's say, I don't know what the 52-week high was around here or the 52-week low, but that's what you should be looking at, right? If it's near its 52-week high, within 10% of it, 20% of it, I ain't touching it. I'm going to wait until it falls like 30%, at least below its 52-week high, but I'm going to make sure the sector is doing good, right? If the sector is doing good, I'm going to see what's going on with the company. If they're still innovating and they still have a good direction, 30% below 52-week high, I buy it there, right? That's a good price. And I'm just saying overarching, like overall, just use this in a broad sense, right? Now, let's say the tariffs were, so this is what most people do. They watch it climb up. It's up 20%. It's on the news now. And they're like, Nike is booming. Oh my God, they've grown 20% in the last, what was this? What did we start at? In the last month, what's the peak? Give me the zenith. It's so fidgety. Very sensitive. 102. It's grown 25% in the last 2 months. Nike, Nike, Nike. And you know what people do? Nike stands for victory, by the way. You know what people do? Now they run out and buy Nike. They just told you it's marked up 25%. But that now you go and you run out and you buy Nike. You gotta hear what they're actually saying to you. And maybe this is where you need a translator, because they're speaking a different language than what you're interpreting, right? So maybe you need an interpreter. They just told you Nike is marked up 25%. And you know what most people do? Because this would be all green. You see right here, it's green, plus 2080 and plus 25%, 39. If it went up from where it's measuring, it's green. If it went down, it's red. So when they see all green, they buy, right? But you just said you wouldn't buy a bag of chips if it was marked up 50%. You wouldn't buy a car if it was 10% over the MSRP. Why would you buy a stock up 25% from where it's been riding, right? So now it dips down a little bit, and then they're like, oh my God, Nike was up 25%. It fell 11% in this month. Oh my God. So now they're not measuring it from where it was before and it was sitting. They're measuring it from the peak, right? And so I'm going to have to call him back. So it's measuring from the peak and they say it fell 11%. No, it didn't. It's still up 14% from where we started. You just bought it at a bad price. That's what just happened. Let me call him back. Call you back. Sorry, brother. I'm on a live. No, it's up 14% still. You just lost 11% because you bought at a terrible price. But again, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. But if you wouldn't buy chips or a car like this, you don't buy stock like this. Now it's climbing. It's back on the news. Oh, it's back up 37%. Now it reaches this peak, right? 130. What do people do? Because it's on the news. They buy, right? Terrible spot to buy. This is phenomenally bad, right? Almost 60% up, but people are buying it because it's booming. It's on the news. And guess what it does? Because it's inflated. There's no rhyme or reason for it to be going up like this. It dips. Now it's at 120. Now it's down. And now what do? You panic sell. Because it's down from where you bought it, you panic sell. And what did you do? You just lost money. You can't do that when it comes to stock. That's not how you buy it. When it is down, 50% down, figure out why. If it's a great company, you've got AMD, and well, AMD ain't doing so hot. Let's go with Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, Apple, um, companies like that, right? Let's look at companies like that. If they're down, figure out why. There should be some news. This is why you follow the news articles on the companies that you're invested in all the time. You know, the average millionaires reported that they read one book per month, but the average person reads one book every 5 years. Isn't that amazing? But a lot of people want to be rich or even just financially sound. How are you going to do that and you're not following the blueprint? And then what are you reading? So every 5 years, Zane comes out with a new sex novel and that's what you're on? Or You Deserve to Be Rich, Why Earn Your Leisure. Are you reading that where they're talking about investing and stuff like that? In fact, I've cracked it open and read some, but I still haven't gotten through it myself. So I got to make time. Are you reading stuff like He Motions and things like Five Love Languages? What are you reading? So, chat, I'm coming to you right now. Since all times highs. Oh, let's get it. Chat, undefeated. Since all time highs, Tesla is down 51%, Google 29%. We can see this on the camera. Yep. Amazon, Palantir, SPY, S&P 500. That's a good one. I don't know what SCHD is, but it's on here. QQQ, that's an ETF, 21% since all-time high. Are these negatives or are these just are these up or are these down? Are you doing like Tesla colon or semi or hyphen 51%, or is this down 51% from its all-time high? I think that's what it is because he's got an extra space in here. So all of these are down. Hood, yeah, it's got to be because Hood is my champion stock over here. And Hood, actually, that's a good one. Let's go over Hood right now. Chat, undefeated. I appreciate that. And he's actually new to the channel. And so thank you for participating. So Hood, actually, if you look, it IPO'd less than 5 years ago at $38. And then it went up. I did the fool. I bought in between the 38 and the 55 when I first bought it, like $41, I think. So it took off like a rocket and then down in an earlier round. So remember, $38, right? $38 is where it IPO. So it went down all the way over here, but I believed in Robinhood. So I was buying it. This is called averaging down. So if it's a good company and you bought shares that are too high and you know it's going to come back, you have to average down in it. So you wait until it comes down right here. Now, if you're just buying it over time and you got into it and you're putting money into it all the time, that's called dollar cost averaging. And then but anyway, it was down. Now it's creeping up. And last year it started taking off. So now my average, if you see, is 2269 down here, right? I don't know why I'm pointing. Just look at the mouse. So it starts taking off. And then this year, where we at? Come on, stop. February 14th. So Valentine's, it's up 65.28. It's up 79 percent from where it IPO'd at, right? That's what he's talking about. From its all-time high, it is down. But if you didn't buy when it was down here and dollar cost average or average down, then it's not. Yeah, you're if you bought up here anywhere near this peak, you are screwed. But right now it's trading at 43.68. So if you were buying it when it was, what is this? Give me the last 3 months. If you were buying it when it fell down here at $35, that was a good price because now it's up at what, 43? And this is less than what it IPO'd at too. So you have to be watching a stock for a while, right? And Robinhood is my power stock over here. I talk about it all the time because of the trajectory of the company. It's not just a stock trading platform. That's what it was when it IPO'd, right? And then it fell off. And then they figured, okay, we got to innovate, because during that time in COVID, you got TD Ameritrade, you got E-Trade, you got Webull, Kraken came out in 20 or 2021, somewhere in there. So you did have some competition, but what was going to make them stand out? Well, it came out and it was more user friendly than the other one, in my opinion, right? In my opinion. Um, then they came out with that. They had I think they had a debit card too, but don't quote me. Maybe I'm thinking of Acorns, but they came out with a credit card. And if you were one of the first 100,000 people to apply for it, you got it more than likely. So I got that, and then so now they're a lending institution because they have credit cards, and they plan to drop another 100,000. They do have a debit card. Chat undefeated. That's what I'm talking about, dog. Hey, we gonna be good, you and me. All right. So I thought so. They came out with a debit card first, and then they came out with the credit card. And so then they asked him, I think it was 2 quarters ago, what about mortgages and lending? And they're going to start doing that. They allow people to buy on margin, which kind of bit me in the tush, which is why you see this orange exclamation point, because I have a margin call. I'm a little below margin, like $500. So if I put the $500 into my account, I'll shore that up and it'll go away. So basically, if you got 20 grand in your account, they may give you 20 grand to trade on. So now you got $40,000 worth of buying power, but it's not smart to use it all. If you do, you can earn some money. But what I did is I traded a lot of options with it, to be honest. And then I sold those options before the crash. And so I earned, like, out of all of those options, almost 10 grand. I was up, but it wasn't a high dollar amount. Really, it was another stock in the portfolio, this SoundHound AI, which one of my buddies in here, he told me about a couple years ago when it was at like $2, and it spiked. Let me see, 20 something, I think. SoundHound AI went up to 23.95, but I did my calls when it was down. I didn't do them that low. I wish. It was down around like $5 down in here somewhere. So I did my calls there, and then it went up way up here. I'm up like 400%, 300%. I did some $8, $9, $10 calls, whatever the math shakes out to be. But I sold around this time, and I earned like 400, 300% on those calls. So anyway, this is not me bragging about me. I'm just saying, because Robinhood was on that list. They added futures trading, sports betting. You're exactly right. So let's get back to what Robinhood, why I think it's the power stock over here, right? Futures trading, sports betting. First one to incorporate 24-hour market on I think it was 1,000 stocks at first, right? They let you bet, and I don't know how to find it on the desktop. I'm only on the desktop. I'm gonna be very candid with y'all. I only know how to find it I only get on the desktop on Robinhood, and I'm gonna be doing these live, so I need to not do that on Saturdays. That's the only time I do it. So, they're not available on the web. I think I did this last week too. But they let you bet on golf. So sports betting is what he's talking about. The Masters on here. College basketball was on here. They let you bet on the election. Who was going to win the election, red or blue? It was like a dollar for a call, I think. Robinhood is going to start. They talked about going the direction of mortgage lending, so you can buy houses through Robinhood. They're going to be a lender. So what does this mean? During 2020, we basically saw single-faceted companies go under by the droves. By the droves. If you sold shoes and that's all you sold, and people didn't have money during COVID because a lot of layoffs happened, guess what? Your company went under. Sorry, get some water. But if you sold shoes and then you acquired um, a chip making department in your company. Two don't have anything to do with each other. But if you were a shoemaker, you acquired chips, and then you did I don't know. I was going to go bizarre with it. But now, if the shoes fell off, you're still held up by making chips, right? Because tech did well during that time, right? But if you were single faceted, a lot of those companies fell off, right? So, what Robinhood is doing is they're innovating, right? They're not just a stock trading platform anymore. They are, they are, they just are. They're getting into everything. They're a stock trading platform. Now they're a credit lender. They're about to get into mortgages. They're doing sports betting now. What's that sports betting stock? I can't remember the name of it, but now they're doing sports betting. Look, they're gonna be if one of those fell off, they're gonna be held up. They got a safety net, and they're having a hedge, so they got an edge on the market. That's why I believe in Robinhood. I think you should invest there, but the price you should invest at is the most important piece, because now if you look at it, we already looked at the 52-week high. All right, so now let's look at the 52-week low, $13.98. And so it's more towards the 52-week high than it is the low. Is it a good price to buy in right now? It IPO'd at 38. I'm not too sure, but if you run the numbers and it's 30% down, maybe you can start buying in here. And then if they make another tariff call and it falls, that's when you should strike, right? And I think if this price goes anywhere in the 20s again, if Robinhood goes anywhere in the 20s again, you should load the boat. Absolutely. And I'm going to be doing that too. You should load the boat. All right, folks. Chat, do y'all have anything else you want me to talk about? There's two things on DraftKings. Yes, my man. That's what I'm talking about. DraftKings. That's the other. So that was the other stock that I was talking about, the company that allows you to do sports betting, right? So now DraftKings was pretty much by themselves, sports betting, right? I'm sure there's other that was the most popular one, but now Robinhood, a stock platform, right? They allow you to open up a portfolio with $0, and they give you a free stock to boot. It's not going to be Microsoft that costs $300 or $400. It'll be a stock that's like $50 and below, right? But you didn't pay for it. It's free. You can let it ride to the end of time, right? So they now jump into sports betting. And now because their name is big because of everything else they're doing, now they're a very good competition. They can look DraftKings in the face, eye to eye. They can stand 10 toes down, looking them eye to eye and say, we're going to take your patrons, right? And that's how it goes. So look, folks, I think this was a good episode. We're over an hour. I don't really mind it because we're forging over here. The forge is red hot. Is there anything y'all would like me to go over? I think this is everything. Any by the ways or last minute stuff. I'll just summarize it, but okay, so overall, let me talk about that real quick before we get off. Should we buy, sell, or hold? If you are already invested, depending on what you're invested in, if the company seems like they were just affected by tariffs, but they're going to be good overall, then I would say hold it, right? If the company says the wheels are falling off the wagon, like if their CEO, CFO, not somebody's opinion on YouTube, unless they're really good and they're signed, sealed, delivered, certified, right? Know what the hell they're talking about, then I would say if they say they're falling off, especially a CFO, CEO, or somebody like that, they're filing for Chapter 7, Chapter 11. One of them you can reconstruct. I think it's Chapter 7. I can't remember. One of them you can reconstruct the company, and Hertz did this. But when they file one of them, it's over. But if they say they're falling off the wagon, I would say get out of it. Take your loss, get out of it. And but if companies are 50, 60% down and you know they're a knockout company like Nvidia or something, I'd say load the wagon. Absolutely. Now, you may not catch the floor. You may not. Maybe the floor is another 20 or 30% down from where you're purchasing it at. You're still getting a terrific price. So if it falls down, and this is a long game, right? You shouldn't be buying. Anything in my portfolio on here that I'm buying, this isn't for me to spend. This is not for me. The Bible says, you may not be a Christian, but the Bible does say that you should leave something in inheritance to your grandchildren. That's who I plan on getting the benefits, right? So let me see. What was I going to look up? Now I lost my train of thought. Man, I'm getting old. My birthday is in 2 months. I'll be 39. You know what I'm saying? Get my good side. Do I look it? All right. So, dang, I forgot what I was going to look up. Hardcore. All right, so, man, I forgot hardcore. Now I'm actually worried. I need some brain food. I just came from the gym recently, and so I've worked out. I'm all pumped up, and I forgot what I was going to talk about. Anyway, folks, buy, sell, hold. If it's a good price, buy it. If you know it is, load the boat. If it's a good price, like if Robinhood, I'm gonna tell you right now. My average is $22.69. If Robinhood got down to this, I'm bringing my savings out, bring them out. I'm throwing it in there. Just remember, if you are not investing your money, inflation is a real thing. Whether you knew it exists or not, whether you believe in it or not, inflation is about 3% a year, and it has been since, I don't know, decades ago, right? If you have $100 in, people say, well, I don't believe in investing in the stock market. I think it's all a scam. Great. See you in 50 years when you're that 80-year-old guy greeting people at Walmart, still working to earn a living. And there's nothing wrong with that if you need to, but there's everything wrong with that if 50 years ago you could have grown your money and you refused to because you thought it was all a scam. Right? Don't know who fed you the lies, but I guarantee you some dude on the street corner with a bottle in his hand, missing a couple teeth, talking about he knows everything about the world. Anyway, so you need to learn from the right people, right? Inflation is a real thing. So if you believe in checking account, savings, shoebox, hole in the wall, let's deal with all of those. And that'll be the last thing I go over. I don't think chat's got anything for me. So that'll be the last thing I go over. So let's say you had $100 in your hole in the wall. It'll still be $100 a year later. The buying power will be $97. Let's deal with the shoebox. Let's say you had $1,000 in your shoebox. Hell, we can put the mattress in there. Let's say you had $1,000 in your shoebox. So you got 100 in the wall. You got 1,000 in the shoebox. It'll still be $1,000 a year later, but it'll spend like 970. Let's deal with the mattress. Let's put it over here. I know it's here. Let's deal with the mattress. You got $10,000 in your mattress. It'll still be $10,000 a year later. It's going to spend like $9,700. Let's deal with the savings account. Let's say you had $100,000 in your savings account. It'll still be $100,000 when you look it up online on paper or whatever. It's going to spend like $97,000 a year later. Let's say you had $1 million in your checking. We can keep going. We can do this. I can do this all day. You had $1 million in your checking account. It'll still be on paper or electronically when you look at it, $1 million. But guess what? It's going to spend like $970,000. Inflation is real. So you might as well have burned it. And you know why that is? Because gas, eggs, milk, rent, utilities, all that stuff goes up over time. Things don't get less expensive over time. It gets more because it's supply and demand. And when the demand keeps kicking supplies behind, the product gets more valuable. See my fingers? This is the taller one. It gets more valuable, right? So it stands head and shoulders over. So if supply is beating demand, so taller beating shorter, then the value goes higher, right? There's a weird analogy, but it's a visual. I don't know. I'm not giving you the finger. I'm just saying. But if you're not investing your money, then it's devaluing, right? And why would you do that? And the great, not yet late, Warren Buffett said, if you do not find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. And most of us, that is our reality. We are going to work until we die. It's unavoidable for most of us, but you don't necessarily have, maybe you do work until you're 70 something, right? But can't you also invest? Can't you also load up your 401k? Can't you also live beneath your means and have more disposable money or more money to invest and or save? I get it if you want to leave a couple thousand in your savings for a rainy day, but the least, how can I put it? The least I would do with that money is not have it in a savings account. I'd have it in an Acorns because Acorns still has it invested. And I think last year or 2 years ago, I think my return was like 12% from Acorns. Now, if you subtract out inflation, I still beat inflation by 9%. And if you need your money, you can withdraw it and it'll take like 3 to 5 business days to get into your checking account. But you can do that. You could even invest your savings. You should have nothing just sitting out there letting the moths eat on it. That's how I see it. But y'all tell me what you think. If you didn't catch the whole episode or you want to see the episode again, high yield isn't bad. You're exactly right. And you know what? I saw a video on this high yield accounts this week, and I should have put it up here, but I know Amex has a high yield savings account. High yield isn't bad either. So if you need it, you can get it. But the point is, folks, you need to have your money growing at all times. Your money should be growing or it's going to be deflating. It's going to be like a bounce house that got unplugged, just or the lights going off. It's going to melt. It's going to do it. This is another hedge against deflation that I do over here. Oh, and here's some big news too, because y'all are some earners over here with me. Earn was delisted to buy. You can no longer purchase Earn on Robinhood. I don't know why. I tried to find the news on it, and I'm gonna find it. I'll probably share it next week. I owe it to y'all to do so. But Earn is down right now. They still pay 8 cents per share per month of a dividend. This is a REIT, a real estate investment trust. And I actually have on any of my REITs, this one I actually have the most on. It's paying me $82.45 a month. And it'll continue paying me. They delisted it for you to buy, but you can still sell it if you want to. But why? I mean, I'm earning $82 a month from it. And it will continue investing that $82. So 82.45, where's my calculator? Bring them out. 82.45 divided by, what's it trading at? 489. It's going to buy me because it went down and it pays the same dividend. It's going to buy me even more shares. So now it's going to buy me 16.86 more shares this month. And you multiply that by 0.08. It's going to pay me $1.34 more in dividends the next month, right? So when it reinvests, next month it'll be 83.79. So with dividends, I'm not cashing these things out. I'm gonna let these things build and build and build, and in 10 years, it's gonna be paying me hundreds a month. My goal is to have it pay me thousands per month, especially I'm almost 40. In another year, I'll be 40. But by the time I'm looking at like 52, if I'm still in the Navy, I'll be 30 years at that point. By the time I'm about 55, I wanted to be able to pay my mortgage. Now, if I go hard in the paint on it, I can get it before that. But that's my goal, at least by the time I'm 55, because if I wanted to stop working 9 to 5 and just do this full time, if it can pay my mortgage, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I will never go homeless because I can stop it investing, if it was paying like let's say it was paying $6,000 a month, I can stop it from reinvesting the whole $6,000, take that mortgage out, invest the rest of it, and I still will never bleed it dry. It'll still be building and let's say I had to do that for only 3 months. You become your own lending institution when you invest in REITs like that, and you'll pay some tax on the money, but it's not going to be that much, right? So you become your own lending institution. You don't have to go to Big Bruh and be like, yo, I fell on hard times. Can I borrow? You can borrow from yourself, from your own hard work, dedication, and your vision right now to see what could be later. Let me see where the other ones at. We'll check on those real quick. I'm not going to let this carry on too much longer, y'all. I'm out here. We'll just look at this is my top dog right here. Orchid Island Capital, I'm down on it equity wise, $1,100, 24%, because it's trading at $6. It doesn't matter. I dollar cost average into this one every week. I was doing that with Earn. I'm doing it with ARR. And this one pays 12 cents per share per month. And so right now it's returning me $71.64 a month. And so if I do the math on that, 71, that's almost $12 that it's gonna, 12 shares, it's almost gonna buy, because 72 divided by 6. So it's almost 12 shares, 11 point something. And then if you multiply that, if you do 12 times 12, that'd be $1.44. So it's gonna be a little over $1 more in dividends that it's gonna pay me next month when it reinvests the next month. And then ARR, that one, let's see what that fell to. ARR fell big time. Yeah, $14. And that's great. You heard how I said, yeah. Now look at my investment. I'm down 27%, $2,100. I've not earned that much on this one. So this one, statistically, I'm down, but I love it. Look at my average cost, $19.50. Now it's at $14. Now I can start loading the boat. I got 405 shares of this, and I'm only putting $7 a month. Now I can up this. Since I can't buy Earn, I can put the other $7 in this, and it'll damn near I could put 15 and it'll buy me a share a month. That'll be 12 shares per year. Progressively, it'll buy me, or passively, I should say. And then where's the history? It hasn't told me my dividend yet, but my dividend for March was $95.64. So it's going to buy me, and this is when it was $17 when it reinvested. So now that it's 14, it's going to buy me even more. Let's get it. So if you don't know the dividend game, get in there. All right, folks, the Forge is going cold. Thank you for joining me. Wait, who is this? What we got? Oh, okay. Okay, so this is why it's no longer a REIT. That's why. It's no longer a real estate investment trust. It is now a closed-end fund. So that is why. It's now designated as position closing only on Robinhood. And that's okay. I ain't closing it, though. It means you can only close your existing positions on Earn on Robinhood, but you cannot open any new. That's fine. Totally fine. Hey, thanks, chat. Chat's undefeated, folks. I love my chat over here on the Blacksmith Podcast. But hey, the Forge is going cold. I will see y'all next year. Look out for some videos from me throughout the week. I'm going to put some shorts out. Feel free to DM me. My email is theblacksmithpodcast@gmail.com. And this whole episode, I'm going to edit it right now, and I'm going to upload it on YouTube so you can share it out to anybody who may need the information. Sharing is caring, folks. Don't bump fists with your buddy and dap them up and hug them and say, hey, bro, I love you, or your siblings, and then don't share good information with them if you deem it to be so. All right, folks, I love y'all. I will see y'all next week, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Blacksmith is out of here.